We got a good one for you today. So we're going to talk about 4 diet myths that actually will hurt you more than help you. So if you're fighting any sort of gut ailment, which you guys know, we talk inflammation here, we talk gut health here, and how to improve it, right? Well, there are a number of diet myths, not just the 4 we're going to talk about today. This is just time slot friendly because you might be talking about this all day. You're trying time and time again. You're trying, to go keto. You're trying to go through intermittent fasting. You're trying to do this low carb thing. And now here comes this juice X. You're going to try that. And what about this thing over here? It builds and builds and builds. And there are a number of diet fads that can actually hurt us, which we've talked about recently, I believe, a couple weeks ago. But today, we're actually going to talk about some diet myths. So there was a study done in, I have 2019 down, but I have a funny feeling it was closer to 2017. And what they did was they actually looked at 5 different diet preferences, okay? Overall, not, they didn't put specific names to it. They looked at 5 different diet preferences and then compared them. And what they were specifically looking at was not, did the participants lose weight? Was there any health improvements? Did they gain weight afterwards? Your typical, usual outcomes. Normally if you see diets and studies connected, that's what they're looking at. Not in this study. In this study, what they looked at was the health of your gut microbiome. Was it depleted? Was it depleted when it started? They have multiple groups. So they had the group where their microbiome was an unhealthy balance. It was depleted. It was struggling and it needed help. Okay, bottom of the barrel. These people were coming in. They had the bloating. They had the stagnant weight loss. They had the fatigue that never goes away. That feeling of exhaustion where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. Getting out of bed is a struggle. How do I roll myself out and actually look like I have energy when I don't? The acne on the face, the headaches, the cramping, the IBS, the IBDD, the SIBO, we could go on and on and on. These people had a lot of issues in the group representing those with an unhealthy gut, okay? They did actually have people who came to them on specific diets, which they actually categorized them in that way as well. They did have a group who had a healthy microbiome and they spaced those people out. So they could try various things and see what the impact was, right? So now let's talk about what the actual outcome was, because you guys might find this very interesting. So the 5 categories they have, and I wanted to make sure I use their names, so handy dandy notes are at the ready. They have plant-based diet, they have a flexitarian diet, they have a health-conscious diet, standard American diet, so SAD, right? Which, if anyone does, if you don't know what that is, the standard American diet, that acronym is actually representative of the majority of the United States that eats mostly processed and refined foods. And that's what standard American diet represents, is this unhealthy perception of food that you think you're eating healthy, but you're not, okay? So standard American diet, and then an exclusionary diet. Now with the exclusionary diet, they combined, the high-fat diets, the high-protein diets, the low carbs, all of them into one, all right? Did they all go through and get put on the same exact diet? Was it one that was high protein, high fat? No, they were all spread out. But because of the outcomes of all of them being so similar, they basically decided, forget it. We are combining all of these people into one. We are not going to separate people out, okay? Here's what they discovered. Ready for this? Everyone thinks an exclusionary diet is going to improve your health, right? It's one of the marketing claims. And if you follow me for any length of time, you know that I believe wholeheartedly that eating whole foods and eating in a way that addresses all of our body needs, whatever those may be, starts with understanding your body's signals and your bio-individuality, okay? Your chemical makeup, what that chemical makeup means in terms of the nourishment that your body requires and what it's either craving for or celebrating that it's getting, all right? So before we get too far into this, please know, I don't necessarily believe that, the low carb, high fat, high protein are horrible for you, but there are certain bodies that do exceptionally well in that situation and certain bodies that don't. You may or may not be in those categories until you actually take the time to really delve deep and figure out what that means for your body, what nourishment means for your body. You can't tell me one way or the other which one you're going to fall into, okay? If you want to know how to know you're in the right place, happy, healthy, energized, feeling like you can get up out of bed without rolling out of it. Your body is thriving. Your brain is thriving. There's no fogginess in it. You're happy-go-lucky majority of the time. Granted, stress in life is going to hit you. You're not going to be like Mr. Happy or Mrs. Happy, Miss Happy all the freaking time, right? There's going to be fluctuations, but those fluctuations are not dramatic. So you can tell. All right, so let's get back to this study. So what these scientists discovered with this diet was that the best diet path or diet plan, philosophy is what I would actually use for improving gut health and for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome is a flexitarian diet. Okay. Now, what does that actually mean? What that means is you're eating a plant-based diet about 80% of the time. Usually it's somewhere between 60 to 80% of the time, okay? Then you're eating animal products or animal proteins and fats for about 20 to 40% of the time. This flexitarian diet allows you to have both, right? You're not full-on carnivore, you're not full-on vegan vegetarian. Oddly enough, having both is all-inclusive, however, full healthy, right? So you get all your fiber and your nutrients within it. But mostly, you're using the plants, the vegan side, to ensure that you have enough fiber. You have enough soluble fiber. You have enough insoluble fiber, in addition to the macronutrients. And apparently, having this healthy blend is the way to go. Next in line, vegan or vegetarian. What the study found was missing that animal component was actually pretty indicative of diminishing gut microbiome, and significantly enough that they actually recommend top diet recommendation and philosophy for that came out of this study was a flexitarian diet. Okay. Next is health conscious. So what health conscious is basically you are eating mostly healthy. So 60% of the time you are healthy, okay? But you're still eating refined foods, you're still eating processed food on a regular basis. That's health conscious. You know what you should be doing, but the sweet treats, the refined foods, the processed foods are still in there. You haven't given them up completely. Now with a flexitarian or vegan or vegetarian, I still think you should treat yourself. But what we're talking, the biggest difference between the two is that with a health conscious diet, what you're looking at is abundance. Okay, so when you're looking at treats, maybe 10, 20% of it. That's healthy. Okay, that's healthy. Once a week, maybe twice a week occasionally, when you go on vacation, whatever. Those are things that would be considered flexitarian because you're still getting treats. It's not taking over your life. With health conscious, it's more of a 50-50. So it's pushing the limit just a little too much. Next in line is standard American diet. That means that the worst diet plans for your gut microbiome are the exclusionary diets. Were you surprised? I was. I really was. I'm curious though, for those of you listening who are on an exclusionary diet, successfully enjoying it, love it, can you comment below? Let me know how your gut is, because it is entirely possible that you might be getting enough with an exclusionary diet that your body is happy and healthy. So I'm curious, because the one thing about scientific studies is they are not all inclusive. There are billions of people in this world, and small groups of studies only give us data for small groups of populations. All right, so I'm curious. If you're out there and you're listening, and you have either tried an exclusionary diet or you were currently on one, and you found that it didn't make a big difference in your gut, let me know. Comment below. I'm very, very curious about this. Now that brings us to our diet myths. So now we've been told that to improve our gut health, we have to go with a flexitarian diet, right? Not a standard American diet, not a an exclusionary diet, not necessarily full vegan either. We're health conscious. So what does that mean in terms of myths? Well, the diet myths that I chose are actually in line with, this study, and that's part of the reason I brought it up, is that, you kind of feel like you're hearing all this information, you don't know what's happening, and you're just trying to find an even keel balanced path, right? So when I looked at diet myths, because we're only bringing up 4 today, but God knows there are plenty. All you got to do is Google diet myths. And then once you go through that list, diet myths gut health. Tell me what popped up. Anything interesting? Anything we don't mention in this video? No video. Let us know. All right, so the very first thing that we are going to talk about, very first number 1 myth, is that restriction. The myth is that restriction is necessary for any healthy diet or elimination, right? And that's not true. I firmly believe, and I've seen over and over and over and over and over again, not just with my clients, myself, my family, but with with my colleagues' clients, people on my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I've seen it time and time again. People don't give up their favorites. They might shift some of the ingredients and make a healthier version of it so they can enjoy it more frequently. But they don't give up their favorites. There's nothing that says that restriction has been helpful in any way, shape, or form. Restriction actually negatively impacts your brain. And mindset is one of the crucial pieces to improving your health long term. For health transformations, your mind, body, and spirit need to create that equilateral triangle, right? But if one is out of whack, you're not going to have equal sides. It's not going to happen. And all restrictions do is tell your brain no. It tells your brain do something. And our brains, those protective parents, are exactly like little stubborn butt teenagers. We all were one. We were all stubborn teenagers who, when someone tells you no, you do the exact opposite, whether it's healthy or not healthy, you do the exact opposite. So here you are restricting yourself from your favorite foods, okay, even for a temporary period, for a longer period. And your brain is going, well, no, that's no, I'll deal with this for a minute. And then you feel like you're successful, and then all of a sudden you have this craving. And as you know from our previous talks, cravings are signals that your body needs something, right? It gravitates towards favorite foods. You're being told that you can't have something, your body's going to go, well, we need that. whether you actually do or not, we need that. We have to have it. And then that leads to a binge. Stop restricting yourself. Look at your life with a realistic microscope or magnifying glass, whichever one you want to do, and figure out, like, if you're suffering from sensitivities or you're suffering from an imbalance within your gut, yeah, there's some modifications we need to make. They're very temporary. This still doesn't mean that you're going to give up your favorite foods. I give every single client permission to have chocolate because for whatever reason, we need permission when we start things to enjoy treats. For my wine drinkers, I actually will allow them to have wine. I give them permission to have wine. I don't have to give them permission for anything. You guys are your own people. You decide what you put in your mouth, but you don't. And if something you're putting in your mouth is hurting you, then it's time to put something different in. If it's something that is your favorite, then we just figure out a way of that you can have it and enjoy it without feeling like anything is changed. We are eliminating restriction and elimination and any of the negativity associated. That first myth that restriction is necessary for any diet and for any elimination, no, wrong. You may want to do a cleanse that eliminates a lot of situations. You know, I start a lot of my clients where we eliminate greens first, then we add them back in. But that's typically because of some sort of situation. Their body jumpstart. But it's 3 days. It's not longer than 3 days because our brains can do anything for 2 days. All right, so next diet, and I love this one. I love this one, you guys. Oh my gosh. So someone said to me once, carbs make you fat. Absolutely not. Carbs are a combination, because there's so many people in this world that use the word carbohydrates and carbs interchangeably. And what they actually mean are the unhealthy grains and starches, not vegetables, but the grains and starches. That's not a carbohydrate. A carbohydrate are starches, grains, vegetables, and fruit. 4 components to carbohydrates. There is no reason you shouldn't eat grains and starches. Caveat though, with gut health in the United States, because of how our food system has developed, the growing process, it is actually healthier for the gut microbiome to stay off gluten as much as absolutely possible. One way that you can do so without fully going off gluten, if you're a bread eater and it feels like torture to remove the bread from your diet, get sourdough. But additionally, the levels of gluten within sourdough are relatively low. The problem with gluten is in a number of our bodies, it actually creates intestinal permeation, or perforations, not permeation. And while those perforations could be temporarily repaired, ongoing and extreme overdoses of gluten leaky gut. Now, leaky gut, you see, there's a practitioner and they will tell you it does not exist. Yes, there are a number of chronic illnesses that stem from perforations within the intestinal linings that were not repaired, aka leaky gut. It is repairable, okay? And a lot of you that I'm seeing that are coming to talk to me that have a lot of these gut health issues, you know, the gut imbalance, especially those of you who protect my body health. This isn't necessarily the case today, but it could be the case. Actions to certain foods that are best for your body, others can actually lead to more complicated illnesses and issues. Like concentrations. Now, the reason I'm saying that grains and starches are not bad is because those grains and starches move things through your digestive system and your elimination system. Okay? And without grains and starches, you're really missing an element of a healthy diet. Okay? Healthy, balanced diet, which is basically the flexitarian diet. Okay. A healthy, balanced diet was considered the best for a healthy gut, for a balanced homeostatic tongue, right? Grains and your starches are needed to move through your system. They are needed to provide some B vitamins, they can actually provide some protein. Fiber is not the only key element there, but having a well-balanced diet that includes grains and starches, fruits and vegetables, versus just fruits and vegetables and no grains or starches, or limited amount of starches where you limit just to sweet potatoes, can actually cause more detriment than be helpful. So, and I'm not talking mentally, I'm talking physiologically, it can actually cause more issues than is necessary, okay? And can send you into more hurt versus healing. Our goal in this group, on my page, with the clients that I work with these lives, is to keep you from going deeper into hurt and make a U-turn. I'm trying to divert you, trying to send you backwards. So you go back into health, not continue on the path to illness, all right? So the thought that carbs make you fat is absolutely asinine and ridiculous. Without carbohydrates, nothing moves through our system. We don't get those minerals and vitamins that we need for functions, you know, vital life functions like thyroid function, pancreas, liver, kidney, heart, brain, our eyes, our nose, fighting off illnesses. We just got another notice this morning, another COVID notice from the school. At this point, it's just, you know, it is what it is. Like at some point, it's going to hit the house again. Hopefully, easier. Like we had it a couple months ago, but there's no telling. I think it's like the flu. Different. And these things are just going to manifest and continue to spread to where we are. I think eventually over time, we will get to the same place with COVID that we are with the flu. If we aren't there already. So now with these grains, keep in mind, carbs do not make you fat. When you look at grains, try to stick mostly with gluten-free, especially if you are fighting any sort of gut imbalance, so they can minimize the negative impact on the intestinal lining. If you are in a severe state of depletion within your gut microbiome, you need to make sure that you avoid gluten at least during your healing process, okay? It's just going to help. It's not going to hurt. There are plenty of options that are delicious, equally as delicious as the original whole wheat, full grain product, okay? You just have to make sure you get the right product so you're not eating something that tastes like cardboard. Okay. So if you need help with that, let me know. I have a long list of dairy stuff and gluten stuff. So carbs do not make you fat. If you're fighting any sort of gut issue with the starches, you're going to want to try and treat it through the resistant starch process. And here's what that is. Resistant starch is effectively what you can find within potatoes, rices, some of the grains, and it hinders our body from actually digesting and metabolizing normally, okay, in a healthy fashion. For some of us, this is an issue. When your gut is in a depleted state, it's going to be an issue. So with resistant starches, the way you work around it is you rinse your starches, okay? What I usually do is I'll rinse them before I cook them, and then times that I forget, I rinse after. So if you ever just cut up potatoes and cook them, boil them, the white foamy stuff on the top, that's what you're rinsing off. Okay. All it does is it actually eliminates the part of that food that starts to block and tries to hinder your body from absorbing the other nutrients included within that food. This goes for sweet potatoes as well. So when you're looking at making, sweet potato fries or red potato fries or any kind of potato fries, turnips, starts with E. But anything that is potato-like, rinse them, and then you cook them, cool them, heat them back up. Best situation to eat it. If that is not entirely possible, rinse them, cook them, and eat them. It's actually more helpful than not doing that. Okay, that's it. Those two things: avoiding the gluten and using the resistant starch process while you're healing your gut. It's really the only carbohydrate tidbits I would put in. Carbohydrates do not make you fat. They actually help balance your body out and tell your body that there's an abundance of nourishment for it, so it doesn't need a whole lot of fat. So quite the opposite. Carbohydrates help you lose weight and maintain a healthier body. All right, number 3. You'll burn more fat working out on an empty stomach than you will having eaten. Your blood sugar comes into play here, okay? Your blood sugar balance. Now, when your blood sugar is in balance, you have a healthy dose of serotonin, right? Happy and healthy. But when you try and work out on an empty stomach, now you actually can trigger some of serotonin because now your body's just trying to fuel that workout, depending on how hard you're working out. If you've got an intense workout, you have nothing in your system, it's going to be brutal. Now, something to keep in mind. So when we do half marathons, when we train for marathons, it is crucial to keep something going in your system. So a lot of the sources of fuel throughout those long distance and the extreme activities are glucose based. It's quick, it's easy, it gets in your system, it doesn't cause any other issues like cramping, doubling over. It doesn't require a lot of digestive functionality, but it maintains your body. Because without maintaining that level, right, without maintaining some sort of food system into your body during that extreme activity, your body's going to stop because it has depleted its resources, its energy is gone, and it's got nothing. And that's the point that puts extreme athletes, whether you are a newbie or someone who's been doing it for a while, that's what puts you into danger. I mean, hydration aside, hydration is another element, but when it comes to nourishment, it puts you into a dangerous position. You're putting your body into a depleted place. When you're trying to reach healthy, you don't deplete. Deplete leads to failure. In the immediate, your digestion stops. Inflammation increases. Why? The immune system feels attacked. It feels like there's not enough within your body. And the very first thing that it shuts off when it feels like it's on attack mode, digestion. Then is followed by elimination issues. So when you work out, you want to make sure you're not working out on an empty stomach and you're not working out on a full stomach. A good guideline is like you've had lunch about an hour, hour and a half before. Put something in your system about half an hour before, and nothing heavy. Don't do anything heavy. You could literally have a banana half an hour before, maybe a handful of nuts, something that gives you a little bit of a boost, but not so significantly so that now you're working out and everything's cramping because your digestive system and your muscles, right, and your cardiovascular system are competing for function spot. They're competing to see who gets #1 top ranking in where your brain and all of your signals focus on. Don't go that route. Keep it light, keep it simple. Don't stress too much about it. If, for me, one of the things that I do is I actually will drink my little B vitamin supplement, like an electrolyte and B vitamin. I'll put it in my water. And I eat about an hour or so before I work out. It's just timing. And I'm telling you guys, if you look at when you work out, when you prefer to work out, when you prefer to exercise, you will see the difference. Now, if you're eating a healthy diet throughout the day and you feel nourished throughout the day and you do not feel hungry, then you don't need to worry about it. You're good. Just don't wake up, do the starving, gonna work out, because that can actually be more detrimental than helpful and can set you into gut imbalance, which leads to inflammation, immune system, lack of digestion. All right, so eat well, keep yourself in balance, make sure you got something in your system and you're healthy, stabilized, you're good, and you don't have to worry about burning fat during a workout on an empty stomach, because that's just not, it's just not. Now, the fourth one I chose on purpose, all right? The fourth myth is that eating a bedtime snack contributes to weight gain and is a significant contributor to weight gain. Now, this was actually something that was believed in the 80s and early 90s, was you don't have a bedtime snack, right? You eat your dinner and you don't have a bedtime snack. But for those of you fighting any sort of gut imbalance, whether it's a previous and now you're maintaining, or it's something that you're healing from currently, having a bedtime snack actually keeps you in a regulated blood sugar state, okay? There's no dramatic increases or drops in your blood sugar. And that ultimately is what you're looking for when healing or maintaining any sort of gut issue, all right? If you've healed from one, you want to maintain that long term so you never have to come back here, because it's not comfortable and it can be quite disgusting in some situations. Not only the moment, but then, if you're in your bathroom and you've destroyed your bathroom, you got to clean it. And who wants to do that? Like, nobody else is cleaning that bathroom. It's your bathroom. You got to clean it. So keeping your blood sugar regulated, keeping your gut happy, healthy, and balanced, as we've talked about over and over and over again, I will continue to drill into your brain. This keeps you healthy, okay? It keeps you happy. It keeps you craving all the good stuff. Energy is up. You're sleeping well. All the things, right? Eating a bedtime snack is not going to hurt that. It's actually going to help that. So if you find that each night you're kind of craving something, and maybe dinner time is at 7, but you don't go to bed till 10 or 11. Well, that's actually a long time between food, right? Some of you actually can feel healthier and better if you're on intermittent fasting, the 16-8. We're not talking about that, okay? This is specifically for people who need to stay on the 12 and 12, right? Eating half the day, sleeping, resting for the other half. If you find that you've got this gap and you're hungry when you go to bed, then you need to eat something about half an hour or so before. Now we're talking 100, 150 calories, nothing major, handful of nuts with some dried fruit, right? Or some fresh fruit. Fresh fruit would actually be healthier. Here's why. Dried fruit gives you the fiber, but the concentration of sugar is actually greater. And with your fresh fruit, you have some water that helps balance those. So fresh fruit is actually a healthier version of fruit, but worst case, go for the dried. So nuts and dried fruit. My favorite is frozen yogurt and like fruit or chocolate chips or something fun. Here's why. I love ice cream. I can have ice cream every day, but the ice cream that I love isn't healthy for me every single day. So what do I do instead? I get my coconut yogurt, the Greek style, the protein Greek style, and I love it's from Silk, and it's really thick and dense. Mix up some fruit in it, throw it in the freezer. Voila! I have my ice cream every single night. It's delicious. I love it. About 100, 150 calories, one of the little cups. No big deal. That's all you need. And it's just enough. And you want to make sure you do that about 30 minutes before. The reason I say this, there's a couple of studies that came out. One of the more recent ones was 2019. And it found that having this snack 30 minutes before bed actually regulated and kept blood sugar and insulin levels at a healthy, balanced state throughout the duration of your rest period. And it helped improve and actually boost metabolization. Stabilized blood sugar helps your body maintain healthy vital functions like metabolization and digestion. Metabolization slows when your body doesn't feel like it's getting what it needs. That's it. Yeah, I would love to expand on that, but ultimately that's it. So now that being said, is this something that you deal with? Are you in a place where you're trying intermittent fasting and maybe, over the last 3 months, it's been okay, but you're still finding yourself hungry? If you're finding yourself hungry after 3 months of intermittent fasting and using that 16-8 or the 14-10, it's time to go back to 12-12. That's your body's signal that either you're not eating enough during that period, and if you're eating as much as you can and you feel full the whole time and you're still hungry, your body is not happy in that 16-8 or that 14-10. All right, 12 weeks in, if you're still dealing with that, it's not healthy. So adding bedtime snack would be something healthy. And maybe if you're in the 16-8, make it a 14-10 and make that very last thing that you eat about 2 hours before your bedtime or within that time frame. That would actually help you continue your intermittent fasting, because those of you who have switched to intermittent fasting truly believe in it and you feel healthier, and it's something that in your heart you believe is best for you. So if you are one of these people but you're still hungry during that time period before bed, add in the snack. It will totally be worth it, I promise you. Okay guys, so while we could talk about this on and on, I wanted to go over the 4 diet myths with you real quick that we are going to erase from our mindset from here on, right? From here on, that is false. It has been erased. It has been eradicated. You no longer believe these to be true. You ready? Number 1, that restriction is necessary. Number 2, carbs make you fat. Nope. And number 3, that you will burn more fat working out on an empty stomach. And then, finally, eating a bedtime snack contributes to weight gain. Nope. We really should get that TikTok thing. I think it's like, I don't know if it says no, 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 or nope, nope, nope. It's one of them. We totally need to get the TikTok in there and go, nope, 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 nope. All right, you guys. So don't forget those 4 items. Restriction is not necessary. Carbs do not make you fat. You will not burn more fat on an empty stomach. You will burn more fat on a stomach that is very healthy and happily nourished. And finally, have the freaking bedtime snack. If you're craving food and you're hungry, there's a reason. All right, lovelies. I will chat with you later. Until next time, cheers. Enjoy your coffee. Bye, guys.